Spartacus' vengeance, Ashur's ambition to establish his own Ludus was fueled by a desire for power, wealth, and recognition. As a cunning and manipulative character, Ashur saw the opportunity to rise in the ranks of the gladiatorial world and create a legacy of his own. Here's how he might have embarked on this journey to start his Ludus. When Spartacus falls and Galba rises, Ashur would certainly be granted his freedom, after he aided Galba in the pursuit to end the rebellion. As a reward, aside the Ludus itself, as Spartacus wanted to do the same with Animes, for example. Number 1. Securing funds. The first challenge for Ashur would be obtaining the necessary funds to start a Ludus. Given his connections and network of contacts he might have created, and thanks to Galba, Ashur might have sought financial backing from wealthy and influential individuals within Capua. He could have used his reputation as a skilled and resourceful villain to gain the trust and support of potential investors. That aside, he could have done this especially with fighters such as the Egyptian, as that would be a sight to behold in the arena, as well as other mercenaries, securing funds through other Lanistas, beating their soldiers, as well as perhaps the magistrate at some point when he gains more wealth and popularity. Number 2. Establishing a base of operations. Once the financial aspect was secured, Ashur would need a location for his Ludus. This would be of course the already present Ludus of Spartacus, in which Ashur already housed. Lucretia is here as well, though Lucretia was so out of her mind after all that happened, it's doubtful if she would not betray Ashur with Ilithia somehow. Perhaps if Ashur would not have handled her so rudely, she might not have done that, but she still treated Ashur like a slave, so there's that. His location is secure in Capua, thanks to Ashur, and the support of a legatus. Number 3. Hiring trainers and slaves. With the foundation in place, Ashur would have recruited experienced trainers and slaves with a background in gladiatorial combat. These trainers would be responsible for molding and shaping new recruits into skilled warriors capable of dominating the arena. Ashur's charismatic nature and persuasive abilities would play a vital role in convincing talented trainers to join his cause, especially with the mercenaries on his side, as when he would go out to hire new recruits to negotiate, the Egyptian would pose as intimidation to pursue the other party to accept Ashur's terms. I can see that happening. The Egyptian, aside fighting himself in the arena, could aid in training the other gladiators hired, and there certainly are doctores, but none come close to the skill of the Egyptian. Meantime, the Egyptian does the job, and I think the Egyptian knows multiple fighting styles, as he was seen fighting not only with the daggers. Slaves would not be a huge deal. Galba's support would aid Ashur in this regard once he gains the Ludus. At some point, a full-time doctore would be taken in, and the Egyptian would be the champion of Capua. Number 4. Forging alliances. To ensure his Ludus thrives in a competitive gladiatorial market, Ashur would have sought alliances with influential figures and other Ludus owners. He might have used his cunning and manipulative skills to form mutually beneficial partnerships, securing access to better training resources, prime matchups, and the primus, opportunities to showcase his gladiatorial prowess. If anyone can convince other people, influential people, it would be Ashur. Also, he would have a reputation as the one who helped bring down the bringer of rain with Galba, as well as having earned his freedom thanks to Praetor Galba and having risen to the position of Lanista from a slave. Number 5. Training and marketing the gladiators. Ashur would prioritize rigorous training for his gladiators, honing their combat skills to create formidable warriors. Additionally, he would focus on marketing his Ludus and its fighters to draw the attention of the wealthy elite, enticing them to attend his gladiatorial games with promises of unparalleled excitement and entertainment. Number 6. Building a reputation. To establish his Ludus as a force to be reckoned with, Ashur would emphasize victory and dominance in the arena. He might orchestrate staged fights to showcase his gladiators' talents and skills, earning him favor with the spectators and potential investors. He surely is a man who would not want to stay as a Lanista only, yet he would not just solely be an honest Lanista as Spartacus' father would, for example, or was. Ashur would go in lengths as Spartacus had to ensure his rise in position. even as far as to deal with influential people. Number 7. Expanding influence. As his Ludus gained popularity and success, Ashur's influence would extend beyond the arena. He might have used his newfound position to involve himself in the political intrigues of Capua, leveraging his connections to further his ambitions and secure his Ludus future. While Ashur's journey to create his Ludus would have been fraught with challenges and moral compromises, his cunning and strategic mind would have navigated these obstacles to build a gladiatorial empire that rivaled the most renowned Ludus in Capua. In conclusion, Ashur's pursuit to establish his own Ludus in Spartacus' vengeance would have been an ambitious and treacherous undertaking. Through cunning manipulation, strategic alliances, and relentless determination, Ashur would have risen from the shadows to cement his place in the ruthless world of a gladiatorial combat. And as a lanista, and surely maybe even risen to the positions such as aedile and higher. He had the mind, as well as the men and wealth for it at that point. His Ludus would be the top one of the ranks, and he would have the best gladiators in all of Capua. I, as a finishing point, wanted to address a few things as closure for Ashur being a lanista. Being a lanista does of course not equal to being a good politician. For example, if we take Bariatus, he was not a good politician in any way you look at it. Bariatus as a lanista would fall back to violence for anything that is not right in his mind, such as with Tullius, fallen back to violence, the magistrate fallen back to violence. Such important figures as Tullius and the magistrate, even though Bariatus tried to disguise it as fault for others, would not be seen as easily by his opposed enemies should he rise in position. Same goes for Ashur. Ashur is a smart person, however, he might also go back to violence quite often. Doing so at some point, the higher-ups would question why every important figure, for example to have ever crossed paths with Bariatus, is dying all of a sudden. When a magistrate would cross paths with Ashur or any other important figure and refuse to aid him in rising in position, such as with Bariatus, Ashur might resort to violence in the shadows, raising questions at some point down the line, no matter how you disguise and mask it. Also, the question of coin is also a matter needing to be addressed, as Bariatus oftentimes was seen struggling to keep his Ludus running sometimes, let alone all the gladiators. However, with Praeta Glaba, this might actually be eliminated. Ashur is a better lanista than Bariatus would ever be, in my opinion, and much smarter in that regard.